This is the second week for the new league. This is your host for Doc's Fantasy Corner, Doc. Just had a couple recaps. Obviously, I missed last week's Doc's Fantasy Corner. I gave you guys kind of my input, and we have a lot of updates here. A couple big things. I'm going to be as brief as possible for you guys. Try to make this as easy as possible. Don't want to put anybody to sleep here, but we're just going to kind of get into it. A couple notes from last week. I owe a big apology to Franny. Franny, don't judge a book by its cover, man. Sorry about putting your team listed at last place. Just jumping off the paper, and we'll get to all the teams in a second here. I'm just going to touch on a few things, but Franny, your team is number one top scoring team week 1, so you deserve the credit where it's due. My team also deserves a little bit of respect. Team P-Word Destroyer 69420 definitely deserves its kudos here. Mark and Murphy, Team Lil Marco, Team Sean Murphy 0, only 2 teams in the league. Ouch, that did not score 100 points. It's a tough look for you guys going into week 2, but hey, it's week 2. Anything can happen, and it's still early on enough that it doesn't even matter. You just gotta play a game and get the season going. So that's really where we're at here. Best team after week 1. It's Franny Fantasy. Franny, you're the best team, and going into week 2, you got the best team here. So we'll see how it goes. Worst team, Mark, you had by far the worst week. I like your team, but you just had a bad week here. So we'll see what week 2 entails. It'll be a little bit more telling. I'd say 2 or 3 games is a lot more telling. We actually have a trade after week 1. That's very rare, but we'll see. We'll get into this in a second. Some new threats. The contenders for the league that I believe are the contenders here at least. P-Word Destroyer, myself, my team deserves a little respect here. Team Dinkelberg, Poli, you got a heck of a team, man. We'll get into your trade for a second here. And then, Jim, just want to welcome you, newcomer into our league. Jim Gavin, one of my great friends. Welcome to the league, man. It's nice to have you. It's nice to have a breath of fresh air here. But your team's just as good as anyone in the league, and it goes back to the judge a book by its cover here. Honorable mention, suck on this Chubb, man. I beat you this week, Lemon. But first and foremost, just want to introduce our new fearless leader, our new commissioner, Dan Lemishoff. I think he earned the respect a little bit for some of the people in the league as far as the direction he wants to take the league and where we're going to go in the next couple of years. We're using Sleeper now. It's a new app that I didn't know about, but it's great so far. I love it. I think it's way better than ESPN. It's way better than Yahoo. You actually have a little mascot that you can taunt people with, which is pretty cool. I like it. I think it's very user friendly. I like the way it looks. I like the way you can interface on it. It's like a whole other chat room almost. The pretenders in this league. Mark, like I said, you had a rough week. Murphy, same with you. You had a rough week, but until after week 2 play, I'm going to have you guys in the pretenders bracket. So I got Brady's 8th ring, Lil Marco, Team Derp 5220, and Murphy as the pretenders. As far as the trade, let's get into the trade real quick, guys. The trade I thought was pretty even across the board. For anybody kind of listening in at home here, we had Team Dinkelberg make a trade with Team DRP 5220. We saw Team DRP 5220 sending Tyler Lockett, sending Dallas Goedert to Team Dinkelberg in exchange for tight end Darren Waller. So again, it's Darren Waller in exchange for Tyler Lockett and Dallas Goedert. I think a much-needed trade for both teams. Coley was poised for a nice playoff run already, just from what we saw on paper. Doesn't have injuries so far yet to any of his teammates, and he had a fortune of wealth where he could give up a Dallas Goedert, give up a Tyler Lockett, and improve in the tight end position. So good trade on both ends. We're going to get into some matchups here, boys. I know that's what everyone's here for. Everybody wants to hear the matchups. Week 2 matchups. I'm just going to get right into this for the sake of time. Suck on this Chubb by Lil Marco. Now, Mark, like I said, looking at both of your teams here, I know I'm not going to go back into every little detail here, but some tangibles that we can see. We got Suck on this Chubb's got a great team. He's got Chubb, he's got Montgomery, he's got Keenan Allen, who's always a good wide receiver option there. You got Travis Kelce, and then Mark, you got little Josh Allen, you got Derrick Henry, you got DK Metcalf. I love DK Metcalf, and then Jamar Chase. Mark, I think the issue with you week 1 I love your team here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not huge on. Melvin Gordon, I thought should have been starting in your flex week 1. Obviously, there's no way to tell. I think you might have had Ronald Jones or maybe like Cortland Sutton or something in your flex, but I think the way you have your team right now, I think that is the way you should keep your team moving forward, unless you make a trade or you pick somebody up off the waiver wire. But Mark, you had a bad week 1. Unfortunately, I think stuck on this Chubb. I think he just had stroke of bad luck with me as well. Mark, your team kind of shit the bed, whereas stuck on this Chubb, his team just got outbeat. It was not by a lot of points, but certainly I had a great week. My team, but anyways, Mark, I have you losing this week. Suck on this Chubb's taking this game by 7.5 points. That's the spread. Although it is important to note that Sleeper has Mark losing by more than 20 points. Looks like 22.5 points, Mark. For Sleeper. So I'm giving you a little bit more credit here. I think your team just had a bad week. And it looks like Sleeper is actually adjusting the point totals based on the week 1 performances, which I kind of like, but we'll see. I think your team, Derrick Henry, there's no reason to suspect why he shouldn't get 20 points against Seattle this week. I think DK Metcalf as well is poised for a great week in Tennessee, but we'll take a look. Moving on, so suck on this Chubb. Win 7.5 is the spread. Team Dinkelberg versus Team Meaty Balls. Both great names. I just gotta bring it up. I mean, Team Dinkelberg. I mean, you got a great freaking team. Based on paper, like I said, everyone's kind of been saying it. I hate to use the word front runner, but the way it's looking right now, man. Tom Brady not slowing down. Alvin Kamara. Najee Harris didn't have a great first game, but it's his first game. I think he's going to be a bell cow, like everyone's kind of saying. A-Rob's always reliable. Cooper Kupp seems to be the favorite wide receiver in LA for Matt Stafford. And then the Darren Waller, obviously the trade benefits you. I personally, Poli, and take this with a grain of salt with what you will. New York Giants, obviously that's a great matchup with Antonio Gibson, but I personally would be playing A.J. Brown against Atlanta. I think, Brady's he's loving all the tools and all the weapons he has. He's going to want to be throwing the ball around a little bit, especially since 28-3, he's going to want to light them up a little bit. There's a little rivalry action, so to speak, with Brady and Atlanta. Don't know how true that could be, but that's personal preference. I would start AB over Antonio Gibson, but hey, Matty P, your team's no walk in the park either. Team Meaty Balls, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, Calvin Ridley, CeeDee Lamb. Great team, man. Great team. This should be my game of the week. It certainly looks like it's Yahoo's, or not Yahoo's. It looks like it's Sleeper's game of the week, but regardless, I have Dinkelberg winning by a spread of 3.5 points, and it just so happens looks like Sleeper has Dinkelberg by about 6 points. So could go either way. I think it's going to be closer than we see on the board here, but we're going to keep moving. Team DRP versus Team Derp 5220 versus Brady's 8th ring. I don't know, boys. This was a hard matchup for me to take a look at, largely in part because I'm not really particularly too fond of Pino's team. That being said, Brady's 8th ring, I do like your team, Pat. I like, Dak Prescott's a good fantasy quarterback. He's kind of shown what he can do a little bit. I don't like praising Dallas, but we'll move on. Josh Jacobs is an okay running back. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's okay. Aaron Jones is a stud. We gotta hope the Packers bounce back, at least for some of you guys. Like Murphy has Devontae Adams. I got the illustrious Aaron Rodgers on my bench, but we'll leave that for another time. You got Tyreek Hill, always a stud. Mike Evans, your team looks great on paper, Pat. There's no weakness in really and largely on your team here. I think you had a bad first week with your team. Hopefully Mike Evans gets a little bit more targets for Atlanta here. I see you did pick up James White off the waivers, which is pretty cool. James White is is always a reliable PPR player. I think at least for a flex option, he's not great for a 10-man league, but we'll leave it at that. But anyways, there was just Team DRP. You were involved with the trade. You got Tyler Lockett in the trade, and you got Dallas Goedert. I still don't think it's enough, man. I think Sleeper's got you losing only by 12 points. Here I have you losing by 13.5. So Brady's 8th ring, wins by a margin of 13.5 points. Just to move on here, Team Sean Murphy versus the first place Team Franny Fantasy. Murphy, it's a tough week again for you. I'm feeling it. Your team's locked. It's loaded. Up front on paper looks amazing. Russell Wilson, Saquon, James Robinson, Devontae Adams. You got Scary Terry. You got Kyle Pitts. You're starting Kerryon Drake. I'm not a big Kerryon Drake fan. Whatever stats you're going to throw on me, I just don't think he is a viable option in fantasy. I know he's highly thought of by a lot of people, but we're going to leave it at this. I think Saquon needs to have a good week. I think it's a tough matchup going against the Washington front seven for you. I think Devontae Adams is playing Detroit. I think Detroit stinks. Aaron Rodgers, if he has any single ounce of pride, he's going to blow them out. So Devontae Adams should have a great game for you here. James Robinson is playing Denver. Not big on Denver, but also I'm not big on the Jags. That being said, James Robinson, I wonder if it got in his head. They drafted Travis Etienne in the second round, and then he has a crapshoot week 1. So we'll see. He'll have to have a bounce back week for you. Your whole team kind of shit the bed week 1, so I think that was unlucky for you. But then looking at Team Franny's fantasy, he's got Patrick Mahomes, he's got Miles Sanders, he's got DeAndre Hopkins, he's got Amari Cooper, he's got Devontae Smith, who looks like he's going to be a stud, and he's playing San Fran this week. I'm going to be an Eagles fan for a second and just say that I think the Eagles will win against San Fran this week. I think Devontae Smith is going to have to be the X factor. And if he's not, most certainly Miles Sanders will have to be one of these two players is going to make a difference for us this week. DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. I couldn't take DeAndre Hopkins this year again. I couldn't do it. Past 3 years in a row, I've got DeAndre Hopkins on my team, and it just hasn't worked out for me. The definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results, and I can't expect the same results, so I passed on him this time again. I passed on him this year. He failed to me in the second round. I could have went running back, DeAndre Hopkins, running back, but I decided to go against my thought process with drafting DeAndre Hopkins. I thought there was just too many good wide receivers left on the board to worry about taking a top 3 wide receiver. I just didn't think it was worth it for me. Amari Cooper had a great week. Anyways, just to kind of get it going here, looking at the teams here, Murphy, you're poised to lose by about 10 points according to Sleeper, with a 36% chance of winning. I actually have that game a little closer because, Murphy, like I said, I do like your team, but I do think you're going to lose this week. I have Team Franny Fantasy winning by a spread of 5.5 points. So we're going to have to keep an eye closely on this one, which brings us to the game of the week. This is the matchup of the week, boys. This is what we wait for all week. Team P-Word Destroyer 69-420 versus T-Law's Luscious Mane. Jim, I got to put a little ounce of respect in your team's name as well. I had you in the bottom half of the league last week, and it turned out in your favor. You were one of the higher scoring teams. I think maybe the third highest scoring team, if not the fourth. You got a great team, man. Besides Zeke having a bad week, I think he's going to bounce back. DeAndre Swift turns out to be a surprise for a lot of people. You took a chance, I guess, on him, and it worked out. Stephon Diggs is a great player. Robert Woods, excellent player. T.J. Hawkinson, great player. Justin Jefferson, everybody knows my stance on Justin Jefferson, and I just think he's an amazing player, and he's going to be a great talent in this league for a lot of years. Going back on my team here, looking down the lineup, I got Kyler Murray, I got Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. I really thought, not so highly of Joe Mixon in the past. I didn't think he was a great option, especially with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is, he had a great year with a lot of touchdowns. You think he's going to throw the ball a little bit more, but I think this year we're going to see a little bit less of that. We're going to see a little bit more fine-tuning to his game, and we're going to see the Bengals win a little bit more this year due to Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is going to get a lot of touches. That's why I was reluctant when our commissioner, Dan Lemishoff, asked me if I wanted to trade him away. And I said, hey, listen, I think I just need to let my team play a game first. I think that was the number one thing for me. But looking down the list, Jim, I want to respect your team here. You got a great team, got a great lineup. But I think I just have you beat with the positives. I got Kyler Murray. I got Cook. I got Mixon. I got Chris Godwin. I have A.J. Brown. I have Gronk, and then I have Leonard Fournette in my flex, which could be a better flex option than Fournette. But if he can get me 10 points, even 12 points every single week, I'm going to be happy with that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential star players to what you have, Trevor Lawrence, DeAndre Swift, Zeke Elliott, Diggs, Hawkinson, Jefferson. I think that's a 6 to 5 right there. I think my team just outweighs unless Zeke has a bounce back week for you. I think you're going to kind of struggle against my team here, but I'm keeping it close. I'm going to respect that Zeke is a household name when it comes to running backs, but I'm also looking at my matchups. Say what you will. My players this week, I'm playing 6 last place teams. And just to kind of fact check it for you guys, Kyler Murray's playing Minnesota, last place team. Joe Mixon, Chicago, last place team. Chris Godwin, Atlanta, last place team. Gronkowski, Atlanta, last place team. Fournette, Atlanta, last place team. So there's 6 last place teams that I'm facing off against this week, and I think you're only facing off against maybe 3 or 4. Not that this is going to make a difference because it's, like I said, it's week 1. How good are our teams really doing and playing? But we're going to see. I mean, that's really where I'm at right now. Jim, you have a great team. This is my game of the week. I have Sleeper, I guess, adjusted and has this as the game of the week too, man. I mean, you're only poised to lose by 2 points. I have the spread a little bit higher. I have myself winning by a spread of 3.5 points. And that's really it. I mean, those are the matchups this week. I think there's a lot of question marks in terms of players filling in. I think a lot of players are getting more touches than maybe certain other players. Like if you look at the Bucs matchup week 1, Gronkowski got a couple balls, maybe more than a lot of people expected. Leonard Fournette got a few more touches than a lot of people expected. Godwin got more throws. Antonio Brown got more receptions as well, leaving kind of Mike Evans in the dust. So, like I said, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I'm not going to throw Pat's team under the bus. I do think his team's on the better half of the bottom of the league, at least for right now. We have to see if it changes because you never know. You could draft a player and the player is a stud for 3 years in a row, and then all of a sudden he's just not good. It happens all the time. You look at Todd Gurley; he was the best player in fantasy for like 2 or 3 years, and then you draft him in the late first round, and now he's not even on a team. So, he's on a team. He's on my team. I picked him up. I was expecting just to put in a waiver wire request, and it actually picked him up. So I'm glad our commissioner, Dan Lemon, thank you for fixing that setting. And my apology to any of the guys that might have thought that was unfair, or whatever the case may have been. Not that anybody wants Todd Gurley on, wasting a spot on their team, but I was looking at my team and my bench, and I was pretty comfortable with doing it. I needed another wide receiver, and thought, why not Gurley? I can always kind of just handcuff him for a couple weeks and see what happens. There's a lot of injuries. Mostert just got injured. We got to see what San Fran's going to be doing here. I know Baltimore is. I think they just brought up Devontae Freeman, which I would much rather have Todd Gurley than Devontae Freeman, but that's just me. But hey, as always, this is Doc's Fantasy Corner. Thanks for listening in. Hope to get you guys kind of on here next week. No guests this week. I started recording actually last night, and then my computer just decided it wanted to stop 11 minutes in. So I'm happy I was able to kind of get the info out today for you guys. I'm going to have this edited and dropped. You're going to be hearing it very soon. So I need to have you guys sign up really to kind of get on board. I want to get more interaction from the league members this year. And just to kind of finish it off, like I said, it's no longer for the people listening in. It's no longer the league name is no longer Fear Boners. The name is now Fear Boners Came and Wentz. So if you're following along, if you're listening in on this to any capacity, whether it's to just mock me, make fun of me, or to actually listen and get feedback behind what is going on in our league and around the NFL, then please come on, give me your voice, voice your opinion. I always love hearing different opinions kind of on here. It makes me better, makes everyone more knowledgeable here. And Lemon, kudos to you, man. I would have if I would have taken the commissioner spot, I probably would have kept us in Yahoo. But I like the sleeper way better, man. The sleeper's been great so far. I really love it. I love that there's little mascots that you can taunt people with. But for the loyal listeners, for Doc's Fantasy Corner, thank you.
I walk the streets, same one since day one. I
Never give up, never give up.
and put the record on repeat. I thrive on beats and funky psychedelia. I